here is some what we should do with the kids. As you have seen, we have mentioned that we will help you to make the individual program for your kids so that they will have enough activities. So what they should do in home environment, you should really ask yourself, do you do some activities for your kids in these three areas? Daily, the kids, especially it starts from age of 3, should have some activities which is some for the cognitive development, for the emotional and physical. This is daily thing that they should do. It's not about, because we see the kids who are like reading, do homework all the time. This is about cognitive development, but what about the physical? What about the emotional? So when we are making program for our kids, we should look, do they get enough work for the cognitive development, for the emotional and physical? And so now I'm going to share with you some activities for the cognitive, some for the emotional, and some for the physical activities. So just before we talk about cognitive development, we see here the brain, and let's just talk about a little bit about the brain. So I just want you to focus only for the two parts of the brain, which is limbic brain and neocortex. So when we talk about the limbic brain is basically, we call it emotional brain, which is responsible for our feelings, which is responsible for our emotions. And neocortex is responsible for the rational and like for making decisions, for planning, for making analysis, and so on. I just want to ask you, dear participants, could you just write, what do you think is developing kids first? Is it limbic brain or is neocortex? What comes first, limbic brain or neocortex? What do you think? Could you just try to guess which starts to work first? Limbic. Okay, yes, you are doing good, really. So first is limbic brain. That is why our whole interaction with the kids should be emotional, not rational. You just have to analyze the way you speak with your kids. And especially if you have adolescents, if you have adolescent kids, what we should do? Basically, when we talk to them and we see them not doing their homework, we are telling them, why you don't study enough? After 10 years, you will be really upset with all of the things that you've done today. You should study more. If you are not studying today, after 10 years, you won't get that, you won't graduate, and then you won't have job, and then you won't have this and that. And they're talking and they're thinking, 10 years? What are you talking about? 10 years? And they just don't get what we are talking about them. It's just because of the neocortex. Because rational thinking is not developed during the adolescent. It's just still developing, but it's not developed wholly. That is why in most cases we see that kids are not just like maybe don't understand the things which we are talking about. So emotional learning, like emotional learning. What is emotional learning and what we can do? It means that if we are being aggressive to our kids and we are like being too demanding and so on, it's we are like super strict parents, and then we don't have that good bonding and communication with our children. They won't listen to any other advices which is coming from us, because the emotional brain is telling he or she doesn't like me. She does not really support me enough. So why I should listen to her? So more emotions we say. So when we are talking about the cognitive development, what we should do? Some work for the attention and concentration, memory, perception, language skills, executive function, and creative thinking. Now we will just talk about it more. So what we should do? First thing we should do is to do the family meetings. I would highly recommend to you all to do some family meetings. What is family meetings? Family meetings basically is when the parents meeting with the kids and they're discussing what they are going to do for the entire week. what they are going to cook for the dinner, what is the responsibility of each child, and then what you are going to study, and then which game you are going to play. Are you going to have some outdoor activities once when we all could just go outside and so on. So basically, if your kids is doing their homework schedule and if they have the option, so best time to do that is the morning hours. Just 10 to 12 is the best time for the cognitive activities, because at that period of time, brain is just ready to catch up any information which you are giving exactly at that time. So reading a book, we say, and watching a documentary. About documentary, I'm going to give you a specific list of that, doing some project and some activities. Now let's start with watching documentary. What we just do, basically you just watching the documentary, and I should warn you here that it should be no longer than 15 minutes. Because their concentration span, especially for the primary school kids, is just for 15 minutes. If it will be longer than 15 minutes, they will just get bored. So try to find the documentaries which would be only 15 minutes. You sit exactly with the kids, you watch it. And after once you finish it, you just ask the question. Maybe what I would recommend for you, just after they finish, just take any notebook maybe, or just like the paper, and then you ask them to draw what they understand. Just you watch it and then sit on a table. Okay, now let's just draw what you have understand from this documentary. And then you ask them to share with you like what they got. So here what happens first is there like the general knowledge about the things which is happening around the world. You will just develop that part, we say. Second is just for the memory, because we are doing some recording. The kids who've already seen some information, you just ask them to tell what they've already have seen. And the third thing is critical thinking. You ask them to, for example, do you think what can be done else? What we should do, what was interesting for you, what you found not that interesting for you, would you recommend it to watch to your friends, and so on. So after they watch, you teach them how to think better. Because the modern kids are just just get used to get everything ready. Like everything is ready. They don't have that challenges. And sometimes if we don't do this cognitive activities, they won't get the neural connections which they need. So we should just teach them how to analyze. So here are some list of documentaries I would recommend for the age of 4 to 10, which is World of Animals, Power of Reading Books and Recognizing Emotions, How to Take the Film, People Traveling to Space, and How to Protect Bodies, Season and People, Importance of Water in Our Life, let's say. And for the adolescents, we would say, especially for the positive thinking, because in adolescent there is a lot of release of cortisol hormone, and kids and adolescents are more negative than positive. So watching this kind of film would be really useful for them. The Power of Reading Books, and then for example, developing soft skills, creative thinking, how does our brain work, and so on. And for the adolescents as well, it should be no more than 15 minutes. Otherwise, they will just get bored. And especially if you just look on the YouTube, the highly watched videos which is 1 minute, 2 minutes, and maximum 10 or 15 minutes. The videos which is for 2 or 3 hours, nobody's watching them, because the modern kids are not patient enough. So no more than 15 minutes. And then you're giving some projects. Here is developing their creative thinking. You ask them just to make some project, and you give every week one project. Even if they got this kind of project at the school, it should be in your family. For example, it can be this project is for the kids from age of 4 to 10. You are asking, so this week we are going to invent something. You just need to look around and see what we can do so that our life will become a little bit easier. I want you to make some invention. So now you just have to observe everything around, and you have 1 week to prepare that. Once they prepare their invention, I would highly recommend to invite all of the family members, let's say, and then you see it all together, and you are like, maybe you can make them, they can wear their jackets maybe, and then you just put their names, they make a page of with their names, and when they are presenting their invention, especially if you have father, I would really I would really recommend you to invite fathers as well, because when the kids are sharing their opinion, and the father, the strongest person, like physically strongest person in the house, saying, listening to them, and then when they're telling like, yes, it was really nice job, I like it, they would say, oh, I think that I can really do many things, and my parents really like it. But you just shouldn't just be attentive to your compliment. It shouldn't be like, if you have several kids, let's say 3 kids, you should say, oh wow, yours is the best one, I like it, it's much better than your brother's invention. We shouldn't do that. Your compliment should be fair as well. So for the next 2nd week, what we should do, preparing games. Here we are developing some confidence in the kids, and then we are developing their ability to do some presentation. And also here is the leadership skills they are developing. You are asking them to prepare some program with the games. It can be just running and catching each other. It can be just basic hide and seek. And then they should just prepare the program. They should be kind of like showmen. They're coming and saying, okay, welcome to my show, and today we are going to play some games. So game number 1, anything, even if this game would be super boring and you will just catching the ball, the most important that you will interact on this thing, on the project which your child did, and it will really help for your kid to develop a lot of abilities, we say. And then last project is there is no topic. They can use anything they want because we've already given the 2 topics. And for the last one, they just choose, they can pick anything they want. So for adolescents, I would say that they can do some website preparation, creating an album, and so on. For the second week, what will the online world bring us? Virtual world, and so on. And for the last, for example, they can do the professions of the future, my dreams and my goals, things like that. This is for the higher age, like of kids. So here is another game, like what we should do. Basically, you will just need some cups. You put here some cups, and then you'll need a tennis ball, table tennis ball, and you just put it. And you want the kids to just shift one ball, this ball, from one cup to other. You're just basically doing this, and it really requires a lot of, it develops like their attention as well, and their body coordination. I would really recommend you to play this game as well. You see that they are basically doing exactly what this child is trying to do. I would really recommend you to play this game together, mother, father, and all the family members. It's not like, oh, I'm just bored, or I need just to cook a dinner, I'm just tired, maybe I will just sleep and you will just play there. No, we are talking about conscious parenting. Right? So I would really recommend you to play this game. It's a lot of fun and you will just laugh. And here is the point that we are just playing this game, and in that environment, kids are learning a lot of things. Especially, I'm doing some family coaching for one family, and there is a child who has he has strong leadership skills. He wants to be first in any single area they have. He wants to be first in the class, first in the race, first in competition, and so on. So during this program, basically, we visit our families once during the program. So fly to the country of this family, and then when I was asking them like let's play a game. We brought some a game, and then he said, and he just lost. He just lost, and I'm saying, okay, you lost now. So unfortunately, you should just wait your turn, and then when we'll start the second round, I'm going to invite you. And he says like, that's not fair. It's just stupid game. I just don't want to play this kind of games and so on. Some kids don't know how to fail. This is problem as well. During the games, it's not about killing the time. It's about developing certain understanding that in life many things can happen. Sometimes you win, sometimes you fail. Sometimes you should do think and you should do use other strategies to win during the weekends, during the game, and so on. That is why playing game is just not about killing the time, but about developing certain skills. And then his parents would say, what we should do? He's all time making conflicts once he fails the game. We said, you should just continue because this kid needs to learn the taste of failure and taste of success as well. These two things kids should know definitely.